you've made a huge move away from the Tommy Robinson movement. You've made a huge sort of shift. Was ideology the only reason for this shift, or did you see other things going on in the TR movement that you didn't like?
Yeah, and I think that's where Lucy Brown might come into the picture, because she was on Morgoth's review YouTube channel, and she made some allegations about the movement, which I also have heard. But because I don't have any evidence to substantiate those allegations, I wouldn't say what she said. But some of the things that she said were also some of the things that the person I spoke to on the telephone that day told me, but with a little bit more detail. But still, I can't prove it, so I wouldn't say those things, even though I've just sat here and said them now, basically. But from what I saw at the movement on that day at the Old Bailey, my son was with me actually that day, and before I went on the stage, he kind of whispered in my ear, "Mum, look at Tommy Robinson." And I said, "Well, what's the matter?" He said, "Well, look at his shoes." Because I'm not particularly fashion conscious and I don't go around in designer labels, but my son, because he's 17, he likes that sort of thing. So he pointed to Tommy's shoes and said, "He's wearing Gucci something or other." He called them a name, a special name. And I just kind of looked blank at him. And he said, "Yeah, well, they cost, God knows, I don't know how many thousands of pounds they cost, but they cost a lot of money." I can't remember what he said now. And that didn't really affect me until I got home and I started putting two and two together and thought, yeah, this guy is going around in Gucci slippers. He's wearing designer clothes, things that the average person can't afford. The cars that, if you watch some of the demonstrations, and I've gone back in time and watched some of the demonstrations, especially when Tommy was running for MEP, you can see some of the vehicles that he arrives in. Now I've got an old Volkswagen Lupo that is standing on my driveway, which is about falling to bits, I couldn't afford those sort of cars. I can't afford those sorts of clothes. I know that Tommy doesn't have a job where he gets paid a salary, so the only way he is getting these types of things is through donations. And apart from that, I think the management of the Tommy Robinson movement needs closer scrutiny from its supporters, because basically we've got somebody in Israel, Brian of London, I think he's called on Twitter, lives in Israel. Avi Yemeni, who lives in Australia. Those two are the management of the Tommy Robinson movement, and I think, well, what on earth have they got to do with Britain? Australia has its own problems. Israel, as we know, has its own problems. Don't they have enough to deal with?